Alright guys, this is the first time I'm doing a tier list on the channel, never done one before, and I found one that was all the DC films ever created since like 1966, so the Adam West Batman film. I know I've made videos about my favorite DC films, top 10 that is, my favorite top 10 comic book films of all time, but this time it is literally all of DC movies. There is some animated movies in here. We are missing some technically if you want to think of the animated world. I think the only one that's listed here is the Teen Titans Go film. Not really sure why that one's counted, but the other ones aren't. But in general, this should be all live action. So let's get into it. Okay, so when you look at the tier list, it goes from iconic to awesome. Now, one thing I did notice, maybe I'm blind, but I didn't specifically see Zack Snyder's Justice League there. I just see Justice League there. And the poster is the one that I believe Joss Whedon used for the film. Although when we get to that point, I'm not counting that god-awful movie. We're gonna use it as if it is Zack Snyder's Justice League. Starting it off really, really hot with the Batman. And we all know, no, of course, we're going to iconic, 90% to 100%. Now, I will say, if you are one of those people who put it in the awesome tier, 100% understand. If you're somebody who puts it in the good tier, okay, I don't agree, but all right, it's fine. At least it's in that 70%. If we're going below good tier for this movie, you better have a damn good explanation because I just won't understand that. So starting off hot with the Batman, but then you go right downhill. You go right to the bottom of the barrel of Batman and Robin. We're putting that at worst, 0 to 49%. More particularly, 0. Everything about this movie is god-awful trash, and I'm so sorry to everybody who had to grow up with this film. We move forward to another pile of hot garbage. Catwoman, off to a terrible start now, to another 0 to 49%. Worst of the worst. There's nothing wrong with Halle Berry being Catwoman. What's wrong with the movie is that it was even made in the first place. We get a little bit better here with Aquaman. Now, I'm putting Aquaman in average. I think it is a solid 60-69% movie. I remember when I first saw it, I thought it was a 7 out of 10. I thought it was a good film. The more I watch it, it's about a 6 out of 10. I think the movie is a great Marvel film in the DC universe. That's how I see Aquaman, and my mind will never be changed about that. Then we go to the David Ayer Suicide Squad, which really is not even David Ayer's film. He did not make this movie. Warner Brothers made this movie, and it showed how little they knew. I'm very torn with this one. I don't know if I should put this in worst, or if I should put this in bad. I'm going to put it in bad, although I might change a couple movies here and there as we go along. For now, Suicide Squad is just bad. Then it gets worse. You hit me with Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. This movie is a worst. It is one of the worst DC films out there. Unfortunately for Christopher Reeve, he was screwed over heavily in the last 2 Superman movies. The first 2 Superman movies are godsends. This one and the third one, not even close. This is going in the worst of the worst, and I think I'm going to put it right in between here of Batman and Robin and Catwoman. I think it is worse than Catwoman, but Batman and Robin has a very special spot in my heart for being absolutely horrendous. Then we get a little bit better. We got the Lego Batman movie, and I'm going to put this in good. The reason I'm going to put this in the good category is because there is a lot going for it that is just good. Over the years, I have lost a lot of interest in watching animation and cartoons. I still will if it pertains to me. The Lego movie is very centered for children, and whereas it is a good enough movie for that, this is not a movie I would watch 24/7. The one thing that is amazing about the film is Will Arnett as Batman. I've said this before, and I will say it again for everybody who's watching this video now. This is the first time I'm actually saying it on camera. If Will Arnett was a little bit younger, I actually think he would have and could have been a really good live action Batman. Now, I can already tell here we have a stretch of 3 beauties. The Dark Knight Rises, bam, iconic. Man of Steel, bam, iconic. The Dark Knight, bam, iconic. Now let's rearrange here a little bit. So The Dark Knight is the best of the best. I'm going to put that right in front. We'll keep Batman right after The Dark Knight. We'll put Man of Steel in front of Dark Knight Rises, and those are the 4 best movies as of right now. Now, Jonah Hex, we are going to put this in worst of the worst. Josh Brolin as Jonah is awesome, great choice. Megan Fox, as per usual, puts on the most lifeless presentations in any of her roles. The movie is just straight up awful. The first Wonder Woman film, I'm going to put this in good. I think the movie is just good. It is a solid 7 out of 10. There is more good within that movie than there is anything bad or negative at the very least. The worst part about the movie is easily the third act. It is the fight scene. It is the battle with Ares. Everything about the movie was detailed and well thought out right until that ending. It just felt like they rushed the ending of that movie so much to the point where Patty Jenkins was like, we just got to get this movie done. It's a good film, but that's why it's not going to go up into the awesome tier. Now, The Suicide Squad from James Gunn. This is also going to be thrown in good, and I'm actually going to throw this at the front of good. So right in front of Lego Batman. Usually when I watch movies 2-3 times, I start to realize if I actually like it more than my first watch, maybe second watch, or if I dislike it more. The Suicide Squad is a movie that I started to dislike a little bit more, but you know, it's not dislike as in it's a bad film. It's still a good movie. It's just not a movie that I would care to watch over and over again. It is more so of a comedy film, just a lot more raunchier and darker, a comedy film that can exist in the DC universe, not a comedy film that could exist in the Marvel universe, where I think was a much bigger change, bigger than you would think for James Gunn, because whereas he is good with that comedy relief, he's good with those types of characters, he could never do something as R-rated as that in Marvel. Then you have Superman 1, and you can make an argument for iconic, and I wouldn't blame you, but I'm going to put this one in awesome. I think the movie is awesome. There is another Superman movie that will go in iconic. This one is just a perfect starting off point for Christopher Reeve and the Superman universe. Superman 3, where he faces off against Kryptonite that splits him into split personalities, basically just fighting himself. We're gonna put this right now in the bad tier. And we're actually going to put it in front of Suicide Squad because it's a worse movie than Suicide Squad. That movie could probably also find itself in the worst tier. I'm going to overlook this tier listing by the end and maybe make a few changes. As of right now, I'll place it in bad. Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, or the Emancipation of Bullshit title, whatever titlement that movie went through was absolutely horrendous. That movie we're going to place in average. We're going to keep it behind Aquaman because I think Aquaman is a better movie than Harley Quinn. I refused to watch that movie when it came out because it just was not important at all. We didn't need it. Although when watching it, I was not pleasantly surprised because, oh my god, this movie is amazing. I was pleasantly surprised because it didn't end up being as bad as I thought it would be. If I made this tier listing when that movie first came out, I would have thought I would have put that movie in the worst part of this tier list, but I'm going to put it in average because I do think there are saving graces to the film, such as Ewan McGregor as Black Mask. Then we have Batman Forever. I'm sorry, this is just a very poor excuse of Batman filmmaking and Batman lore. It goes in Batman Forever, and I'm actually going to throw that right in between Catwoman and Jonah Hex. I despise so much of what they did to Batman during those days that I really do want to put Batman Forever like right side by side with Batman and Robin, but I'm gonna keep it fair because in all honesty, I do think Superman 4 and Catwoman are worse films, even though I despise these two Batman movies. Then you move off to a heavy hitter and the Joker. And where am I gonna put the Joker? It's between iconic and awesome. Look, my mind could change about this movie every day. Tomorrow it might be different than what I'm going to think about it next month. Right now, I'm going to put it in awesome. I rated this movie like a 9 or a 10 out of 10. And the reason I'm going to put it right underneath iconic is because it is not fully the Joker. It is a different representation of the Joker. It's an idea of a man with mental issues could be changed into a monster due to the outlook of society. And also, too, it can be quite a depressing movie to watch over and over again. That's why I'm going to put it in awesome. But like I said, tomorrow I could look at this list and be like, iconic. Then you have the first Shazam film, and I'm going to put this. This is another movie I could battle back and forth with either average or good. And I'm going to do... I'm going to do good. I'm going to do good for now. And I'm going to keep the placement in good like that because I think it is the worst of these 4 good films so far. No, I think I'm going to keep Shazam in good now that I'm thinking about it because I love Zachary Levi as the casting choice for this character, and that alone is enough for me to keep that movie in the good tier. Then you get hit with another terrible film, Supergirl. That's going in the worst. That is honestly going within the worst of the worst. And now let's do Supergirl. We're going to put it right here. We're going to put it right in front of Superman. Oh, no. We're going to switch it back. I'm going to put Supergirl as the 3rd worst of the worst. It is an awful, awful film that should have never been made. A lot of these movies should have never been made. A lot of these movies shouldn't have even entered the script writing stage, but somehow they did. And then you get Brandon Routh's Superman Returns. Look, I want to put this movie in bad. I do. But when I look at how bad some of these bad movies are, I don't know if this movie fully deserves that. I am going to put it in average, though. I would like to subtly, drag that right into bad. But as of right now, I won't do it yet. I made mention about this in a recent video. Brandon Routh's Superman doesn't do it for me. The suit doesn't do it for me. The whole world idea doesn't do it for me. The best parts of that movie is Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor. And look at where Kevin Spacey is now. Oh, nowhere. Then we're being hit with what I believe to be Superman 2. And that, bam, iconic, the best of the 4, and honestly, you could argue with me is the best Superman movie ever made, even though I believe the best Superman movie ever made is Man of Steel. Superman 2 is right up there. Superman 2, in my opinion, could even be considered one of the best films ever created in the comic book world. Superman 2 is so important to the comic book world because without that movie, I really don't know if we would have many comic book films. I personally believe Superman 2 proved that we could live in a world filled with spectacular looking superhero movies. Then we have Batman with Adam West, and honestly, I'm putting this in the good tier. It's easy to look at a movie like that today and say, what is this piece of crap? Like, this is ridiculous. But we got to think about it in terms of where the world was and how the world looked back in the 60s. This is a Batman movie that was created during times of war and depression and economy breakdowns. And it's a film that just showed like, oh my God, We don't just need to watch cowboy movies all the time or black and white films all the time. The Batman, a comic book character, has hit our TV screens. It's colorful, it's cool, it's fun, it's poppy. Is this what the future's gonna look like? And believe it or not, it looks even crazier than it did when that movie dropped. That movie is a sign of the times changing and changing for the better when it comes to the world of movie making and comic books. I almost want to put that in awesome, but I'm going to keep it at good. Then we have Constantine with Keanu Reeves, and I've only seen this movie once. I can't really remember it all too much, but when watching it, average. I think it's an average film. And I'm actually going to put it in front of Birds of Prey, right behind Aquaman. I think it is the second best of the 4 movies in that slot right now. Then you got Steel, which, okay, I've never seen the movie. I'm just curious what the ratings for this film is. I do know it's horrible. I know that much. I just don't know how horrible it is. Steel, not Man of Steel. There it is. I'm going to say 3 out of 10. I don't know. Yeah, I'm right there. 2.9 out of 10 and a 28 out of 100. Okay. I've never seen the film. I'm going to keep it in never seen, but I can already tell you I would probably put it in the worst category. But just to be completely fair, never seen. Batman Returns. That's going into average. And honestly, just to be fair, I'm going to put Batman Returns right at the front of average. It is the best of all the average films here. I might even consider putting Aquaman ahead of it. I'm sorry, guys. Those Batman movies do nothing for me. And I've stated many times that Michael Keaton's Batman does nothing for me either. I'm just not a fan of him. I'm not a fan of that cast choice. I don't like Tim Burton as a director, so automatically his movies don't do it for me. I hate the way they made the Penguin in this film. And Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman, once again, is not something that I'm into. I don't like the take they did with all those characters in that world. I know that might be a hot take, especially for people who grew up with those Batman movies, but I'm sorry, that ain't my Batman, and that's not my Batman world. Then we have Batman Begins, which is immediately going to iconic, and what we're going to do is we're going to slide it right in front of The Dark Knight Rises. Batman Begins and The Batman are 2 perfect beginning movies for Batman worlds. Teen Titans Go, I've never seen, so can't say anything about it. I've only seen clips, but I'm going to put it there. The Watchman, iconic, argue with a brick wall. I don't care. I love The Watchman. I love the take on this film. I love how long this movie is. Watchmen is amazing. You could argue with me, maybe awesome. Okay, fine. But I'm putting it in iconic because during that time, and even still today, no superhero movie has been made that way. And no superhero movie has had a story idea like this either. Next up is Swamp Thing. I don't know if that's 1 or 2. That's another movie I've never seen, so I want to check it on IMDb here. Swamp Thing, not the show. Which one is which? The Return of Swamp Thing. Okay, what's the first one? I haven't seen either of them, so I might as well put that one. 5.3 out of 10 and a 50 out of 100. Okay, not as terrible as I thought. And then what is the first one or the second one? 5.3 or 4.6 and a 39 out of 100. Yeah. Oh, Heather Locklear was in it. Wow. All right, so we're keeping that one and never seen. And there's the other one. Never seen. Now, here's another one. Batman vs. Superman, argue with a brick wall. That is an iconic film for me. I absolutely love everything about this movie. Even if there are things that I don't agree with, and if there were things that I would personally do different, I still love it. And we're actually going to move it up right in between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight Rises. And I know whenever somebody says they like Batman vs. Superman, you have a lot of angry people who feel like that person needs to defend why they like such a terrible film. I'm not going to do that because I've already defended that film multiple times on my channel, and I believe it is a 10 out of 10 movie. At the very least, a 9 out of 10 movie. It is vastly underrated and misunderstood. That's where it belongs. Then you have Wonder Woman 84. This is going bad. It's like they took Wonder Woman and said, wow, we actually made a decent Wonder Woman film. Instead of making the second one better, why don't we just make it worse? Then we have one of the most popular Batman animated movies of all time, Mask of the Phantasm. And I'm going to put this in awesome. Mask of the Phantasm, I know a lot of people would say, nah, that's got to go in iconic, and I completely understand. But there are other animated Batman films out there that I would actually rank higher than Mask of the Phantasm. One in particular being Under the Red Hood. I think that is a 10 out of 10 movie. But Mask of the Phantasm is certainly an 8, 9, or 10 out of 10. It's any one of those three. Now, here comes the Justice League film, and I'm uncertain if this is supposed to be Joss Whedon or Zack Snyder's Justice League. So because of that, I'm just going to tell you this right now. If this was Joss Whedon's Justice League, this is going right here. I would put this Justice League right out the front. I think it is such a disgrace at what happened to this film. But here's the thing. I'm not going to view this as Joss Whedon's Justice League. I'm viewing this as Zack Snyder's Justice League. And because of that, I'm going to put this in the awesome category. And I'm going to put it right at the very front of awesome. So it is the most awesome of the 4 awesome in that row. And then we have Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern. And this movie could be considered worst. It really could. But I'm going to put it in bad. There are very few and specific things that this movie does that are kind of cool, especially Mark Strong's Sinestro. And I'm going to put it right in between Superman 3 and Suicide Squad because I do believe it to be worse than it's not really David Ayer's, but David Ayer's Suicide Squad. And then last but not least, you have Batman, the very first one with Michael Keaton. And to be fair, I'll slide it in good. Once again, the film does nothing for me. Nothing. The only reason it's finding its way into the good category is because, once again, I look at all the films below it, and objectively, it is not worse than those films. When I look at these films as a filmmaker or somebody who appreciates film at the very least, Batman is better than all the films below it. Although, when I look at all the films above it, it is not better, so the very least I could do is keep it at good. The intense bias of me just wants to put that movie lower, along with Batman Returns as well. The only reason why I will not do such a thing is because I'm also respecting a lot of the people who did grow up with those two movies in particular and do enjoy them. He's just not my Batman. I don't know how else to put it. I don't think he sounds like him. I don't think he acts like him. I don't think he looks like him. And then, of course, when you factor in as well Tim Burton, just the combination ain't hitting me. Tim Burton is not a guy to handle Batman. I don't like it. Let him just stick to his Edward Scissorhands, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Beetlejuice type movies. All right, so there you go, guys. Here is my tier list. I've decided to keep everything where they are right now. There are a couple you could maybe debate me on and convince me to move. Like, you could tell me, like, no, I think Zack Snyder's Justice League should go to iconic. Or you could tell me, I think that the David Ayer Suicide Squad should go into the worst category. There are a couple of movies here that I would consider moving up and down. But as of right now, I am good with where they are. I will tell you too, the immovable movies on this list are the iconics. Every single movie you see in my iconic tab are movies that I 110% would not move. Those 8 movies are very important to me, and I think very important to the film comic culture, or just strictly film industry in general, that they all deserve a place up there. But most importantly, what they mean to me is why those movies will always be in that iconic category. I could do another tier list that has all different types of movies, and if one of these movies found their way on the list, it would be going in that top tier. But anyways, everyone, that's my tier list, and I'm gonna leave the link in the description below so you can go make your own tier list and see what you come up with. Maybe we are very similar in how we rate these movies. Maybe we're very, very, very different. I'm sure a lot of the movies I had in my iconic category would not belong there for a lot of people. I'm sure putting Watchman and Batman vs Superman up there is going to piss a lot of people off, and it's probably gonna hurt people's feelings for some very strange reason, but those movies mean a lot to me. And I genuinely, respectfully think they are awesome and are done very, very well. Story, direction, production-wise, doesn't matter. I think they're great. So this was a lot of fun, and I'm probably gonna start making more tier videos moving forward. If there is something in particular you want me to do a tier listing of, let me know in the comments below, and I will make sure to make it happen. But that's it for this one, everyone, and until next time, I will talk to you all very soon.